So, apparently we went live without me knowing. And yeah, I've got to fix this up because my wife is still putting the kids down. So if anyone has any questions while we're getting things going, because I still have a few things I need to set up, go ahead and throw those in the chat and I will try to get to them. Because apparently we're live. Somehow the computer just decided now's the time to do it. Let's turn it on. Such is life. So I got to get some things set up for my wife here because we're going to be getting ready to do the live Dovetail video so you can see the countdown timer on there. So yeah, let's see if you have any questions. Well, I plug this in, which I still have to wire my wife up when she gets down here. How's it going? Yeah, no, we're working on my roof right now. And sorry, this might be loud to get this clip in place. We're working on my roof and we're doing all of the tear off and reinstalling things. So we've been tearing off for the last 2 days, and I've got one more day of tear off to do, and then we can start putting on the new roof. Yay, exciting. Can anyone suggest a reasonably priced diamond stone for chisels and hand planes? There are a few cheaper diamond plates, but none that I am happy enough with that I can immediately suggest. There's one from Tay Tools that's two-sided, and it's relatively cheap. But I've heard some bad things about how long it lasts. So I haven't found any that I would suggest other than DMT diamond plates. But yeah, personal preference. So if you're willing to spend less money, but then have it wear out quicker, then getting one, I would suggest the ones from Tay Tools. They are probably the next closest. Yeah, Tom, I had to change the link on Facebook because we had some problems, and I'm guessing that has something to do with why we just suddenly went live, but we're live. So I'm going to do a broadcast here. So if anyone has a Google Play at home, go ahead and turn that off right now because I'm about to broadcast all of ours. Okay, Google, broadcast Sarah. Apparently something went up with the live tonight, and we are currently live. So if you want to come down and join it, come on down.
All right, broadcasting now.
So, oops, sorry, that was probably loud dragging this microphone across there. So let me actually get over here into place and start talking through what we're doing, because apparently we're live. Oop, I gotta flip this out for her. There are 1,000 little things that have to happen beforehand. It was one of those weird things I just noticed. The button says live. Why does the button say live? Oh yeah, I'm live. Pull this over. Okay, there we go. Here we go. So, tonight, well, let's talk about some other things going on. I'm actually in the middle of getting ready to do a new test. I did the, oh, I think I gotta flip that over too. There's always something more. I'm in the middle of about to start a new test on plane irons. Hey, yeah.
Live?
Apparently we're live.
Oh, we're live. Hi, everybody.
It just suddenly went live on me. Go figure.
We got a lot of early birds.
Yeah, no, it's a
Good thing I'm done in the back.
So yeah, here's the mic for you.
Okay, we got this.
You got this?
Sure.
I want to go in the other room.
I can just have the string hang down.
What?
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
So for those of you just chiming in now, apparently somehow Google just thought, hey, let's throw them live.
Because we're real worried about me looking professional right now.
Ahead of time while I'm still setting things up for
James, check your wireless mic.
checking my wireless mic.
That's what Sandy Maskwith just said.
Oh, I didn't turn mine on.
Nah, you're not here for you anyways.
No, we're not here.
Oh, where's my stool? Hang on. Gotta get my stool
Okay.
sample.
There, I got my mic up and going.
Where is my stool? Oh, well.
Where Mom was using it.
Mock me, sock me. Oh, I'm all discombobulated.
So, yeah, a couple things coming up. I'm about to be starting a new plane iron test to go similarly to the chisel test. And so I'm collecting plane irons from all different companies, Wood River and Tay Tools. and the new Union planes, and I've got a few other ones coming. I have a hawk iron, I have the new one from DMF Tools, and a few others like that. So, yeah. So if anyone can type in there, make sure my microphone's working, and my wife's microphone, it should be now. But since we had to speed through everything today, now that we're suddenly live, we're on here. So for those of you who are watching this and it's recorded, I'm sorry that you had to sit through the first 5 minutes of me just staring at the keyboard in the corner. But now we are up and running. So it took me a little while. I was like, why is Google saying we're live? I don't understand that. We're not live. I'm going to hit the live button, and I look up and it's like, oh, there's people chatting. Look at that. We're live.
All right, it sounds like your microphone is good. I'm switching out my... Well, now I get to see all the prep work we do.
Yeah. No, there's a whole pile. I have about an hour's worth of setup before every
We may
live.
have invasion of children later because I didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
put them
So
in order.
tonight, I want to do a bit of a dovetail challenge. And so this is something I've been thinking for a while. You know, how long would it take me to make a dovetail? A single dovetail and an easy wood is like 5 minutes, I'm guessing. But it's very rare that I have a single dovetail like the one in the thumbnail. The single dovetail, let me make sure I actually get this. Oh my, I gotta clean this. There we go. The single dovetail is very easy, but it's not something you use all that much in woodworking. It's not a very common joint. And so this is the single dovetail. And so this is what I generally demonstrate, but you're not doing this very often. So tonight I'm going to try and make 2 dovetails. I'm going to make a double dovetail, so 2 dovetails into a joint. And I want to make it as accurate and clean. So I'm not just trying to make it fast. I want to actually do it completely. And so I'm going to do the whole dividers thing. And I'm going to do all the steps needed to make this a really, really clean joint. Now I am going to be using the Cat's Moses dovetail jig. So this should be kind of interesting because it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. It makes it go a little bit faster, and it gives you very clean, repeatable results all the time. And so that's why I like pulling this out. So Cat's Moses dovetail jig, definitely worth it. Although most of the time when I'm making dovetails, I'm not going to use that because I like the looks of angles that are slightly off. And so part of me says, ooh, let's just go ahead and freehand it. But when I'm trying to speed through things, this makes things a little bit faster. So I'm going to use the dovetail jig. But other than that, I have all the tools out here I'm expecting to make. Now I made a point of not doing a test of this beforehand because I want this to be completely off the top of my head. I want this to just make a dovetail rather than actually going through all the steps ahead of time so I can prime myself for it. So this is just me as quickly as I can in what I know.
So it's not prime time.
It's not prime time. So this should be a nice and interesting test, and I actually kind of like to see what you guys can do. So if any of you want to duplicate this, then you can do that and put your time on the hive mind and show me the dovetail you made in your time.
The phone is upstairs that has my jokes.
You want to run grab it? You can do that before I actually get started.
Okay, hang on.
But she's now wired.
Yeah. We're taking that off. We're not taking that upstairs. I'll be back.
Yes, there's several times where I've had my microphone on, went to the bathroom, and was like, ooh, maybe I should have had that on. So, yeah, double dovetail, and we're doing this in oak. This isn't something easy like a Peruvian, what is that stuff? It's Peruvian mahogany, which is an incredibly easy wood to work. Or like a cherry, which is very, very forgiving. We're going to make this out of oak, and the boards are 3/4 by 1.5 inches. So that'll give me enough space for 2 tails and make a nice intersection. So this would be, an average drawer or something of that nature, a full through dovetail. How quickly can it be done? So I'm going to kind of talk through it, but I am going to be focusing on what I'm doing because I want to try and make this as realistic as possible. But you're going to see me do a bunch of problems and other things like that. I'm also going to have the overhead camera running. I'll see if that helps out at all. And so because I'm going to be focusing on this, I'm not going to be able to spend much time actually running the cameras. So I'm going to set this up kind of here so that we get a general overview of what is happening. Except for I'm going to need it more like this because those are over on that side. So let's flip over to this.
Countdown clock is still on screen, isn't it supposed to be?
Yeah, no, that's a time.
Okay.
We're actually going to be timing it. So when I say go, she's going to start the clock, and you can actually see how long this whole thing goes. So it's kind of fun to play with putting it.
So just so you know, we haven't practiced this either. So.
No, and I was hoping to talk this through with her before we actually got started, but yeah. So yeah, we're going to switch over to this, and let's go ahead and put on the overhead. And now, let me make sure I'm in shot. So yeah, you'll be able to see things here, and when I come over here to chop, I'll be chopping right here, and so you can see the whole action, the action-packed time. Should move it over like this. So make sure my vise is set, and we'll make this happen. Does anyone have any questions before I get going? Not that you've been tracking them yet.
Well, there were a couple.
My goal is that this will be done in about 8 to 10 minutes-ish, and then after that we'll do some Q&A and go through that. So anything before?
So do you want to save questions and just go
Yeah,
ahead?
save questions until then, unless there's something particular right now.
Can you do it
asking.
without a vise?
You can do dovetails without a vise, but it is incredibly difficult. Usually you would take it to the bench and clamp it down, and then you do your sawing vertically, and that's just annoying. And so even if you had a junky metal vise, it'd be better than doing it that way. So do it with a vise. Okay, cool. I think I'm about ready. Let me just make sure all of this is on, and we're good to go. So, you ready with the clock?
Oh, yes.
Here, why don't you start it and stop it just to make sure you know what it is.
I think I know how to
Okay,
start
good.
and stop a timer. Thank you. Thank you. My master's degree is useless.
So, go. Going to set this on here and get the thickness of the board. I want to make sure that these two boards are exactly the same thickness. I cut them out of the same stock, so they should be. And then we're going to just go ahead and mark all the way around both of them. And this will be my stop mark. And I put arrows on the boards so I know which ones are going in. If I'm doing a drawer, I wouldn't mess with that because I'm going to be working around all of them, but I'd have the drawer marked. So in this case, I just want to know which end of the board am I actually going to do it on. There, I've got my depth mark all the way around. Put it in the vise. Now we're going to do the whole dividers thing, which I generally don't do. But in this case, I figured I'd do it because it would make for better entertainment. So I'm going to set it somewhere around there. Let's see how this looks. Put it in the middle. Dimple. And, oop, that's too big. So let's back it up a little bit. Up to like there. Let's try it again. Put it in here. Dimple. And dimple. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So this will give us relatively thin pins, not incredibly thin, but nice little thin pins. And now I want to draw these lines across. So I've got where I want this to actually be. I'm not going to do the down lines because I'm going to be using the Cat's Moses dovetail jig. How many times can you say Cat's Moses dovetail jig in a single video? And then
Depends. Is he sponsoring or not?
raise it up a little bit more. And then make sure I've got this jig going the right direction. I'm going to make a small cut across each of these. Where's the line? There's the line. And that's just a stationary cut so that it guides the teeth go into the saw first. Right there. Saw into the mark. Flip around. I could saw left-handed. And if I wasn't in a hurry, I probably would saw left-handed. It's kind of fun to learn. Okay, there we're down. Now we need to cut out the two end pieces, except I did it the wrong way. Did it this way. Docked for time.
You know, I'm going to deduct points if you draw blood. I just want you to know that.
Ooh. No, that's a good quality dovetail right there.
So Tiny
Got
Woodshop wants to know, did you sharpen your saw beforehand?
I haven't sharpened it in a while. It's probably been 4, maybe 6 months since I sharpened it.
So the simple answer is no.
No, I have not sharpened it. Oop, not that one. That one. That's the side I want. Use the chisel, cleaning up the corners. Get rid of any of the shmoo in there. Shmoo, technical term. Now I gotta chop out the middle. So I'll make sure I'm still in shot here. And mallet. Mallet is what
What
brings
bring
us
us together.
together. Actually, I'm going to switch down to a 3/8 chisel. It's going to take a little bit longer, but I can get it in there because my pins are a little smaller. I guess if I were to make the pins a little bit bigger, I could use a bigger chisel. It would go a little bit faster. Woo! Chisel down! Chisel down! About halfway through. Now we're going to put it right into the mark. I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch instead. I went a little past the saw line there. Run this out vertical.
I think they're going to start taking bets soon if you drop a tool on the floor.
Yes. Let's go back to this one. Actually, I'm going to stick with the 1/2 inch. Just have to do it a little deeper. It's a little faster. And I have never found the coping saw to make it faster. I much prefer doing it like that, because I find it to be really, really quick. Now let's just make sure we're good. Normally I would grab a file and clean up all the surfaces of that, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And if they're not quite perfect, then they're not quite perfect. Okay, I want this to go on here, so I want this to go on here.
Why?
What's that?
Oh, it lagged a little on my screen.
I'm going to use the block plane here to get this at the exact same height. Right there. Lock it down, move the block plane away. And now I can set it up on this. Line everything up. Clamp it down. Feels good. Make my marks.
Should I tell you how much is passed or no?
What's that?
Should I tell you how much time has passed or no?
Sure. What do we got?
You're at 6:26.
Ooh, not as good as I wanted. Okay, there. Made the marks. Now we're going to set up on this. Do these first. Wait, I'm making the pins. Let's cut on the right side of the line here. Ooh, that was close. That was really close there.
So next live, do we do this blindfolded?
Half blind? No, we're going full blind. Okay, now we need to take it over here and chop those out. Spend a little bit more time chopping this time. So stay away from the line.
How thick are those boards?
They are 3/4 inch by 3.5 red oak. No, these ones are white oak. These ones are white oak, not red oak. That was sloppy. Just the way I like it. So I'm chopping down about halfway, paring out. And now I'm going to go right into that line. I'm going to eyeball vertical.
All right. Alan super chatted and created an awesome hashtag.
What's that?
You saw that coming. SAW, capital. Anyways, ready?
Ready.
What did Santa say to Mrs. Claus when he saw a thunderstorm?
What?
Looks like reindeer.
Ooh. I thought it was going to be something about needing Rudolph's nose. But that would be too undad jokish. Or in this case, too unmom jokish. So down to halfway on both those. Going to go right into that marking gauge line. Eyeball vertical. Pound it a little extra hard because we're hurrying. Okay. Flip it over. Cut the other side. And then we can test fit. And hopefully we don't have to do any major adjustments because those take time. I'm hoping that other people actually take this challenge and try it and show me their results and time on the hive mind. We can kind of do some comparisons. If you guys don't know what the hive mind is, Sarah can tell you about it.
Hive Mind?
Yeah.
It's the cool place on Facebook that is about jokes and woodworking.
Speaking of which, you may notice that I'm wearing the Wood by Wright Venn diagram t-shirt, which I do still have some of those left. So if you want to get yours, they're available on the website right now. Forcing that through. This one is not going to be pretty, but it's going to be a functional dovetail. That's all I'm looking for is functional dovetail. Because normally I would want to bring out the file here and do some good cleaning on it. I'm not going to do that here.
No, so Hive Mind is where you can bring your questions or if you want to show off your projects. So you just have to look for Wood by Wright Hive Mind on Facebook and request to join. And sometimes when I'm nice, I let James acknowledge the request. Otherwise, Juan does it.
Okay, we're going to do this last little cleanup on here. Make sure that we can get it in. Good, clean chisels are a great thing to have. Actually, I didn't sharpen my 1/2 inch before this, but it is still pretty sharp. Okay, here we go. Let's try it out. If it works, then you can stop the timer. If it doesn't...
Okay, I'm ready.
Nope, I got it on backwards. That's just not going in quite right.
Does that put you...
Oh, that's a better fit. That's happy. Time.
12:22:83.
12:22. That was bad. And that is a horrible looking joint. Here we go. I'll let you guys see this. There we go. That is gappy. On this one, I don't know what went on there. I may have cut... Actually, I might have had it right in there right the first time.
Oh.
No, either way, the joint's done. I didn't label them which side would be up. maybe.
Oh,
It's nice when you can flip it over and it still works.
the mama wants a closer view.
And here, I'll get really close up on
that's
here.
really bright on the
There we
one
go.
side.
See how gappy that thing is? You want to see that? There you go. But the rest of the other three are actually pretty decent. This one's a little bit of a gap there. But on this side, most of that would work out once it's clamped, pushed down. I think some of this down here would have been fixed with filing. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of
Okay,
junk.
you're fuzzy. There you go.
There's a little bit of junk right there in the bottom of this trough, and I would have filed that off. But I'll take it. For something fast like that, that's actually functional. Glues that up. That's a working joint. So what was the time?
2283.
2283. Let's switch over to this one. So if you think you can do better than 2283, or maybe you'll take a little bit longer and have a cleaner looking joint, I would love to see that. I thought this would be kind of fun to do if other channels wanted to do that. So if you have a YouTube channel and you want to do this, go ahead and do that, and I will maybe point some up in the next live. So yeah, that's not terribly happy. I was actually hoping for about 10 minutes, but I guess
Well,
for really
when
pushing
you're
and
rusty.
speeding through, that will do. I'm going to have to go back and figure out what's up with that, because one of the angles is off, and I want to see which angle is off, because I don't know, did I cut? I didn't cut on the wrong side of the line. No, it's just a gap, so maybe I did cut on the wrong side of the line, because it's about the same. The gap on this side is a little bit larger than the thickness of my saw plate, so guess that's what I get for rushing, huh?
I thought you were Norwegian, not Russian.
Yes. So if anyone has any questions or thoughts on this, because we're at what, 13 minutes in? Since we started early.
Well, actually, we're at like 23 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to rework. Oh my, that went the wrong way. Let's do it this way. There we go. I'm gonna have to rework the timelines so that those actually work out. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. Do we have anything so far?
Yes. Sorry, I got distracted by my phone.
You got distracted? Never.
Yes. All right. Oh, that's Sarah's shirt would have ADD or something on it. Let's see. Tell them Boris sent you. I like that. Can anyone suggest a reasonably priced diamond stone for chisels and hand plane sharpening?
Yes and no. There are cheap ones out there. You can get like $10 diamond plates. They're going to wear out really quickly because the nickel plating that actually holds the diamonds in place, if the quality control on it is absolutely amazing on that, they wear out incredibly fast. Even the really high-end ones on the large grit diamond stones, like DMT's extra coarse, those wear out very quickly because holding on to the diamonds is almost impossible. There are a few that are cheaper that I would say are okay. Tay Tools has a two-sided plate that's $401,000, and that one's, from the reports I've gotten, it's okay. It does wear out a good bit faster than some of than like DMT, which is kind of the gold standard. But for the price, it's a good balance. So it really depends on you and what your price range is. If you have, you only have $10, then yeah, get a cheap one, and you're going to burn it out quickly, and then you'll have to spend another $10. And in the long run, it may or may not be more beneficial to you. For me, I get the DMT, the good quality ones. They're the ones listed on my website. And I've had these now for, 4 years? They're still working like clockwork. Still gorgeous, sharp and fast. Absolutely the way I like them. So there really isn't a cheap one out there I can directly endorse and say this is a good one, because I just haven't seen any that have a good, long-lasting life to them that I would be willing to put my name on. So yeah, sorry. It's one of those things where I generally tell people, find a cheaper method such as whetstones and save up the money, and then get something good, or buy a cheap diamond plate and save up the money until you can get something good, because it's worth it to get a good quality DMT plate that will last you. Yeah. But when you spend $60 a plate, ouch. What's next?
Let's see. Sandy Masquith asks, how about doing a scrub plane build?
I have a video on making my scrub plane. This is a number 5 that I put a camber on the iron, which I really need to sharpen. That is horrible. What is up with that? Oh, the chip riveter slipped forward. That's why. So basically turning a really junky number 5 that you can pick up for $4 or $5 and then turning it into a scrub plane. And this is a great thing to do with cheap planes you can get at the big box stores and Harbor Freight. Those really, really cheap planes that just do not hold. Like here. The Harbor Freight 33. It's kind of a remake of the Stanley 33, and it's not a good hand plane. But you could turn this into a scrub plane, and it would be a great scrub plane. So I've got a couple videos on how to turn a regular plane into a scrub plane. But if you're talking about, do you have a video on making a wooden body one? No. I do have several videos on making wooden body planes, but I don't have a wooden body scrub plane. Usually, and historically, you would have, your regular. Let me grab one.
Nope, forgot to turn the air conditioner off.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pull any of those right now. You would have a coffin plane or your smoother, and once the wooden body on it starts to wear out, and your mouth gets bigger and bigger and bigger on it, just because of the geometry of the mouth. The more of the material you use, the bigger your mouth gets. And so what you can do is put a slice in there that makes the mouth smaller again, or you can make a new good quality plane and turn that old one into a scrub plane. And so very few people ever made a scrub plane. They would turn an old plane that isn't worth it anymore into their new scrub plane. And so that's usually the way it would go. What's next?
Alexander A. asks, what saw was it you were using? Looked lovely.
Yes, this is my Bearcat Dovetail saw, and this is one that is like, ooh la la. Here, let me zoom in a little bit. This is one of my my prized tools. Bearcat Tools makes some incredibly saws, but you got to get on the waiting list for them. This is one of the very, very early ones when he was doing a lot more detail work on them, and I love this saw.
Wait. You went black. Like the whole screen of yours went black.
Oh, went to the wrong button.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
Fuzzy.
Here we are. Here's the saw now that you can see it. So this is the Bearcat Dovetail saw. Sorry, I'll get that on this. There we go. And prized and happy. This was before. This is one of the early models, one of his earliest makes of them. He's changed the design a little bit since then, but still one of my favorites. Especially made out of myrtle, naughty myrtle. Naughty myrtle. What's next?
At least it's not moaning. Michael C. Building some garden boxes. How well will non-treated lumber hold up?
Depends on the lumber. If you're talking about pine, not well at all. A couple years out of it, maybe, and it will fall apart on you. I'm assuming you're talking like raised garden beds. Yeah, regular pine in close contact with dirt does not last long at all. It'll last a couple years, and then it will rot out, and you will probably have it breaking within 3 or 4. Yeah, so for a raised bed, yeah, I mean, you go with treated and it's going to last a lot longer, but there's a lot of people who are worried about the chemicals and things like that the treated lumber was made with. Modern treated lumber is far, far better than anything that was made 10 years ago. And so in that case, I'd probably be okay with it. But I would probably make mine out of oak or cedar. Cedar is actually pretty good at direct ground contact, especially if you finish it first. But yeah, I wouldn't put direct pine in contact with it because that rots out really quickly with dirt. So yeah. What's next? Sorry, caught you with your phone.
Nope, you're fine. Woodwork Learner asks, what are your thoughts on a Stanley 130 plane?
A Stanley 130. I would have to look that up. I don't know what a Stanley 130 is. Let me take a look. What's the next question when I look that up?
Kenny and Janet Horn asks, seems your saw, Western cut, way faster than my Japanese pole saw. Is this true?
It depends on the teeth of your Japanese saw. Most of the time, a Western saw tends to cut faster, but that's because Western saws tend to have larger, more aggressive teeth. And so because of that, yeah, time spent, they're sharper. Japanese saws tend to have less set, tend to have smaller teeth, and they give you a cleaner cut. And so there's a balance there. If you put the exact same teeth on a Japanese saw as a Western saw, they both cut the exact same speed. So it's very different in the geometry between the two. But in general, a Western saw will cut faster just because a Japanese saw tends to have smaller teeth that are less aggressive. So yeah. Stanley 133. Oh, the double-ended block plane. Okay, yeah. No, I don't have one of those. What was the question particular about it?
What are your thoughts about it?
It's a block plane. The Stanley 130 is a block plane that has a regular toe on one side, but then it also has a second bed, so you can actually take the iron out, turn it around, and put it on the other side. And the other side has a much smaller bull nose. So the piece of steel in front of the iron, on one end it would be this, which is around 2 inches, and on the other end it would only be like a 1/4 inch, and there would be a bull nose, so you can get up close to things. It's a great idea, and they sold quite a few of them, but I haven't ever had a time where I'm like, ooh, I wish I had that bullnose block plane. That thought has never occurred to me. So I don't think it would be something that would be used in my shop other than to have it. I really can't think of anything like that. The big reasons for that would be like chamfering the insides of a box. You can get close to it, but you're still going to have to bring in a chisel to do the final little detail. And so, yeah, it might save a little bit, allowing you to get closer to the corner, but yeah, not my cup of tea, but might be yours. I mean, if I'm going to do that, then I'm probably going to want to use a chisel plane. Where's my chisel plane? Oh, that's right, I gave it away. Shows how much I use it. Maybe I'll have to make a new chisel plane. That'd be kind of fun. That video did really well. So maybe we'll make a new chisel plane sometime soon. Cool, what's next?
Come say the show is cutting side stuff, no falling asleep. I said, sorry for making weird faces. My foot fell asleep because I don't have my stool, so I was sitting on my leg. And it was
it's right, you can't put the chair down any farther, can you?
Hello, can you go? Whoa!
Now you're out of shot.
Oh, no, I'm not. All right. Let's see, who we got? Dr. Konichima. Sure. Is there a good hand tool equivalent to a nap joint?
Dovetail. Actually, I have a video making a nap joint with hand tools. I actually did a live on it a while ago, and I've thought about doing a regular video on it. Maybe one of these days I will. But yeah, it's something you can do with hand tools, but really. It was basically the reason. For those of you who don't know, a nap joint, it's also known as the pin and cove, and so it looks like this bumped surface rather than dovetails. And in the middle of each bump, there's a pin sticking through. So one side has a recess with a pin, and the other side has this basically half a donut that goes over the pin. And you can make them with hands, but they were designed to be made with power tools. The reason they came about is that they really hadn't come up with a machine that could make dovetails, but you could take a router and set up to do this jig, and it could make these nap joints really, really quickly. and so it was the first machine-made dovetail joints. It was the first joint, the machine that could make a joint like that. And so they were very, very popular from like 1880 until 1910-ish, which is a great way to date furniture if you have them from that time period. But then they came up with machines that could make dovetails, and the nap joints basically disappeared because you could make dovetails, and making dovetails made them look more professional and more handmade. And so they didn't make the nap joints much anymore. But yeah, it's a fun one to do. But I do have a video of making them with hand tools, so there you go.
All right. We have a super chat.
Ah, thank you, Randy.
So, 2 questions. Should we do the questions and then the mom joke, or mom joke then the questions?
Read the question and you can pull out your mom.
Read the question. Let's see. First question. How do you know when a saw has reached the end of its useful life?
You run out of plate. You file it to the point where there's nothing left to file. And I've seen some crazy small saws where there's only like a ½ inch of plate because they kept filing. Or like you'll see some panel saws that come to a steep point here. And so there's just this tiny little point here with teeth on it because they filed off 2 inches of material over the years. And so you just keep filing them until there isn't any more to file off. But that's really, really rare and a lot of sharpening, considering that most sharpening takes off like 1 or 2/100ths of an inch. Very, very little. So, I mean, you've got to sharpen the saw hundreds of times to get through an inch of steel. But yeah. Cool. What's the second question?
I am building a Blackburn dovetail saw. How much set should I use?
Very, very little. Basically, I'm assuming you're looking at like as 18 TPI. In that case, turn your saw set to the smallest setting it will go and set them on that. Basically, you want almost no set at all. The less you have, the cleaner your cuts will be. And because you're only cutting into the board 3/4 of an inch, you're not really worrying about the board binding up and holding the plate. So you don't need much set at all. I do know some people who will actually put no set at all on their, people who have no set at all on their dovetail saws, and they still cut fine. They just might be a little bit harder to push as they're in there, but you'll get a nice clean cut with it. So very, very little, if any. What's next? Or do you have mom jokes?
I have a mom joke. All right.
Since Randy asked for mom jokes.
If they let prisoners take their own mug shots, would they be selfies? Like a jail cell?
Selfie. That's one that's going to be spelled out for you. I'm like, yeah, if someone takes their own picture, that's a selfie, right? Selfie. But don't.
It's from all that wax he's making.
Yes.
Kinda.
Yeah, speaking of which, I just ordered all of the stuff to start offering waxes. I've had a lot of people asking about the hard wax that I use. I did a video on this channel of many different uses for paste wax, and so I use the hard wax all the time for lubricating my saws and planes and protecting them from rust. And some people were asking about that. I do have a video showing how to make it, but I'm going to be soon selling it. I'm going to have a puck that fits in here, and so you can store it in this, or you can just keep the puck out, but they'll be shipped in these little containers. But then I'm also going to be making a soft finishing wax. So just like the stuff that I use that can be mixed up in there, and so you can use it on a steel wool or something of that nature to put it onto your wood. So those will be coming here soon. Not quite sure when, but probably as soon as my roof is done, then I'll start batching those out. Because those have a decent amount of work to do on them.
Yeah.
What are you laughing about?
Just doing the roof by yourself.
Saving
We got
about
no
10,000
friends out there that want to come help?
Saving about $10,000.
Nobody? Nobody?
Yeah. I've been all but begging for people to come and help me on Facebook. So I'm doing all the tear off and then installing the steel. So it's going to be fun. What's next?
Alrighty. Sorry, poor man.
What, made in Brazil? Yes.
Sorry. Who asked the question? Bryan Fulmer asked the question. How did you fix the delaminating on the bent pieces for the table? Did you just re-glue or something else?
Yeah, no, I had the glue up for these. If you haven't been watching, I'm making a coffee table with some bent lamination, but it's a tensegrity table. And it will be a fully functional table holding a couple 100 pounds. And unfortunately, when I did the glue up of these, they were glued up like that. And there was a crazy amount of bend, and it's not quite as much as I wanted, and I ran into more problems than I've ever had in any glue up before. I was working on it so long that my epoxy was starting to set up. I was, a good 45 minutes down here of working on it and working on it and working on it, and before I finally got it down in place. And the epoxy on it wasn't as soft as it should have been for the actual lamination. And so I'm working here at the bench, and then suddenly I hear this crack, 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 bang! And with the outside lamination on this one, came out, and then popped off. Not very happy. So I'm thinking more and more about whether I want to remake these because of that. But unfortunately, I've already cut the joint for where they socket into the wood. So I'd have to make new pieces to match that exactly. And yeah, life is fun. But how did I fix it? I just laminated it back on. And so if you're a patron or a member, you had access to the video where I showed that. And I put one clamp at one end, so I slathered them up with glue again, clamped one end, and then just clamp, 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 and wrapped the clamp around to match the existing structure. The rest of it is good, and everything looks okay on them. So I think I'm going to kind of beat them up a bit and make sure. And if they're still holding after that little bit of beating I give them, then I might use them again. Otherwise, I might end up making all new ones. But such is life. Yes, that happened just after Saturday's video. So, yeah, this Saturday I won't be having the tensegrity table. I'm going to be actually doing a collab with Barbie of All Trades. So that'll be a lot of fun. My daughter's been looking forward to that one. What's the next?
Let's see. Harold Schultz asked, best all-purpose set of grit stones, what range?
If you're talking about whetstones, the numbers are very, very different. And so whetstones, usually the course is like 1,000, and then they go up from there, and you might get up to like 16,000. Usually for me, I like 800 to 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, and then strop. And I find that to be about the right progression. If you're looking at diamond plates, you can get the grit writing for diamond plates, but they cut differently, and the grit on diamonds does not equate to the grit on whetstones. And so for diamonds, the grit is like 400, 800, 1,200, and then I go on to strop. And so I stop at 1,200 on diamond stones. It's because they cut differently and they have a different methodology to it. So the grit number isn't as useful on that. So hopefully that matches for you, because sandpaper grit does equate to whetstone grit. Those are actually pretty close. So hope that helps. What's next? We got enough time for 3 or 4 more, and then we'll kind of wrap this up since we started early.
Okay, I have 4. So
Okay.
we're going to let them get their questions.
Unless someone throws up a super chat.
Well, then we might ask 5 now. Harold Golden asked, what is the difference between a dovetail saw and a carcass saw?
A dovetail saw is usually smaller in all dimensions. It has a smaller plate, it is a shorter plate, and it is shorter length, usually. I actually like my carcass saw and my dovetail saw to be about the same length, but in this case my carcass saw is a little bit longer, not by too much, but it has a much taller plate. The plate itself is much thicker. And the carcass saw is a crosscut saw. Now, if you go to Veritas, like this one, Veritas sells a crosscut carcass saw and a rip-cut carcass saw, which I hate that they do that, because it makes people very confused that there's a rip-cut carcass saw. No, carcass saws are crosscut. Yeah, that's one. Dovetail saws are rip cut because they cut with the grain. Some people will put a little bit of fleam on the saw, like a 10-degree fleam in this, but it's nowhere near the 30-degree fleam of a crosscut saw. And for me, I actually just like them to be straight rip cut teeth. So that's the big difference, is that it's a smaller saw in most all dimensions, smaller teeth, and rip cut as opposed to crosscut.
Okay, so because everyone else is probably much smarter when it comes to saws than I am, but what's a fleam?
Fleam is the angle that the file is on the saw. So if I'm sharpening the plate, if the file goes at 90 degrees to the plate, there's 0 fleam, which is a rip cut saw. That's what makes it a rip cut. And then if I turn it to 30 degrees and every other tooth is cut at 30 degrees, that's what gives it a cross cut. And that 30 degrees is the fleam. So fleam is the angle of the file to the saw when it's actually cutting the teeth. Then you also have the rake, which is rolling the file on it. And then you can also have, what's the other one? There's one where you can roll it this way, so you can move it in all 3 dimensions. But very few people will actually lower the handle, and I can't remember what that's called. It'll come to me later, or someone will throw it in the chat. Yes, fleam is the amount that you change that it changes the shape of the tooth and makes it a cross cut as opposed to a rip cut. You'd know that if you watched my How to Sharpen Saws video. I'm sure you watched those to fall asleep.
I'm already sharp. I don't know what you're talking about.
What's next?
Hey, I wasn't the only one who had no clue what fleam meant, so there.
Fleam, it's in the back of your throat.
Yeah, I know. I'm very familiar with phlegm. Thank you very much. Let's see. Dadgammit, what did he say? Have you done a video on making a video, such as equipment, software, process, etc.? I think that would be really interesting, kind of behind the scenes.
I have thought about doing that. I might make a good Thursday video on this channel. It's kind of hard to show the camera that you're actually shooting things with, but maybe I'll shoot that all on my phone. Make it kind of interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of hardware that goes into this. But maybe I'll do that. And I know a lot of people wouldn't watch it that much and it wouldn't be that great of a video, but I know it would answer quite a few questions. Because I have $8,000 or so worth of camera equipment down here in the shop. Camera and video and audio and live equipment. And a computer.
So is it Barbie of all trades?
Barbie of all trades.
Okay, it's Barbie of all trades, Charles.
Yeah, Barbie of all trades is on Instagram, not YouTube. And he's in Finland, I think it is.
Really?
But he has a Barbie-sized shop. Rubo workbench, all the tools and everything, functional tools, functional hand planes, functional saws, functional chisels, mallets, the whole 9 yards, and this full shop set up Barbie scale. And so he has an Instagram channel showing her making joints and things like that, and actually making things Barbie scale. And so I'm actually making a frame saw and sending it off to him to put in that. So that should be coming up here soon. So getting excited about that one.
I want to know what Woodwork Learner asks. When are you going to swap places?
Swap places?
I don't know if he means like me and you.
Now this would make an interesting live.
I'm really good. I have no idea what he means or she means by swap.
I should just open it up sometime. Okay, Sarah, do something with tools. That'd be dangerous. Oh, my sad tools. I have to bring out the bad ones. Oh, the look.
The lack of trust.
What's next?
You building a bed down here.
I know it is actually one of the things I want to do this fall is make a. I want to make a not Windsor, Moravian workbench, and have 2 different sets of legs, one for Sarah and one for me, so that I would have a Sarah height bench down here. So be kind of fun.
Woodwork Learner said yes, that was it. That you and I swapped places. And then Bryan was not disappointed I gave the look tonight.
I get the look at least 3 times an hour.
You deserve it every time. Okay, Stephen Deswan. I've said that wrong. I recently got a couple of wooden Spokeshaves at a garage sale. What are some tips that you have about sharpening and using them?
I have a couple videos on sharpening Spokeshaves. They're probably on the main channel because that was before I switched over to this one. That would make a good Thursday video. I mean, the wooden Spokeshaves usually have a tang, so you have a blade on the bottom and then 2 tangs that go up into the wood. And for those, they are sharpened as a whole surface. So the bottom side, you just set it flat on the plate and run it with the tangs pointing up, and you flatten it out that way. Then the other side, it's a lot more difficult because you have to flip it over and you have to do it on the edge of the plate. And so that's a skill. And the only way you can learn a skill is to do it and mess it up and learn from it. But it really comes down to just how you hold it. And so usually I'm pinching the back of the iron, the thicker side, so that the blade is running forward. And then I'll have my other fingers on top of it holding the blade down in place. And so it's kind of a weird balancing act and a muscle movement that you never use anywhere else. And so I could teach you one way and up and down the side of the other, but until you actually go out and feel it with your own muscles, it's one of those things that, you gotta learn it by doing, which is annoying, but that's hand tools. Got enough time for one more?
How about 2?
2 more, okay.
Kenny and Janet Horness, after dropping and breaking a pre-World War II Stanley No. 5, what's the proper mourning period?
Learn to braze. Brazing is a good skill to learn.
All right, and last question. ATH Mustafa asks, do you use a 78 plane as pull nose?
A bull nose?
Bull nose, okay.
The Stanley 78, let's see if I can get it down without dropping things. This is my Miller Falls version of it. It actually has 2 different places where you can put the iron. So you have it back here, or you can have it up here with the bull nose. I almost never have it in the bull nose. Actually, I have never put it in the bull nose. It's just, I've never had a reason to do that. I mean, it's the same thing that we were talking with the Stanley 130 double-ended plane. I just haven't ever come up with a reason to have the bull nose. I never use it in the bull nose. So I hope that answers your question. One of the reasons for it is that the fence is mounted closest to the back plate, and so if you put it close to the front one, the fence has a tendency to move more side to side, and so you end up with slight inaccuracies there. So it's always better to have more sole in front of the iron so you're not digging in too much. So I never have it in the bull nose slot. Is that the last one?
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming, and for those of you who got on early and watched me type on the keyboard, I'm sorry about that, and hopefully next time it'll actually start when it's supposed to start. I think next one is our monthly Q&A, but I might be wrong, so I don't know exactly what we'll be doing. So if you have any ideas, let me know.
I think so.
And if anyone's in the Rockford area and wants to come help me with the roof, I'd be glad. So
I'm not home to help them, so.
Yeah. She comes in at the end of the day, it's like, wow, it looks good. So I think that'll about do it today, unless I'm forgetting anything. Nothing? Cool. Well, until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.
Oh, hang on. I got to find the button.
I'm holding. It's okay.
Where is the button? I don't know where the button is.
You don't know where the button is?
It says edit. It doesn't say end stream.
Oh, that's because it went live all of a sudden. Let me see if I can figure this one out. Here. So you get to see us for a few more minutes.
Behind the scenes. Ooh.
Live chat cancel.
Oh no. You must stay on forever. Forever.
Do
You just click off.
Don't know. Boy, this is the show that doesn't have a beginning or an end.
This is life that doesn't end.
That one doesn't even have either. Oh, I know what I can do. Let's go up here and do this. So that and